Hey everyone, welcome back to another round of Q&A with Matt K. I am Chris Stegall with Creme de la CRM, and with me is, of course, Matt K. Matt Kaufman.
Chris?
Hey Matt. Um, Long time no see.
Yeah,
Not really. Eagle-eyed viewers will recognize the fact that we are wearing the same clothes from the previous video.
almost all my clothes are Salesforce related though, so
That's
it's hard
true.
to tell.
Yeah. It could be a different sales blazer hoodie. I have one of
Yeah,
those coming in the mail, courtesy of TDX. So
nice.
I have been checking my mailbox and like where the packages go pretty regularly,
Yeah.
hoping to see it, but no luck yet.
Well, one
Um,
day we'll have to both wear. We'll be twins.
yeah. And so we are back with another round of our series where we take questions from the Salesforce community. We put Matt in the hot seat and see if and how he answers them. It gives us some good insight into what an experienced admin or dev typically does in their approach to Salesforce questions, troubleshooting, best practices, etc. And of course, if you have questions that you would like to have answered, you can submit them at go.mkp.dev/Q&A. You can comment them on the video here, or you can submit them to the Trailblazer community and hope that we see them. That is the least effective way to get your questions answered by us. But it is a helpful tool available to the entire Salesforce ecosystem, and I have had some nice answers there as well. If you are going to comment on the video here, I would also recommend liking and subscribing to these videos. You find them helpful, others will hopefully find them helpful. And the more likes and subscribes we get, the higher we get bumped up on the related videos lists for those folks. Also, I like it when I get the little email that says, you have a new subscriber, and I look and I see who it is, and I say, that person is my new friend. So please keep that up. And now we can jump into today's question. I think this one might be, well, I feel like I don't know the answer, but I feel like it's going to be a yes or a no.
Okay.
Here we go. Today's question comes from Tetra, who
Whoa.
asks, oh, that was your screen instead of my screen. Uh, Using API in Starter Edition. Hi, I've started to use the trial version of Salesforce. My org edition is Starter Edition. When I try to make an API call, I have the error, this feature is not currently enabled for this user. Isn't using API allowed in Starter Edition? Is it possible to somehow try it? I've checked all the permissions. API is enabled for the user's profile.
Okay. That's actually interesting that API is enabled for the user's profile. Because my understanding of Starter Edition and Professional Edition is that API is actually not included in the licensing. And so it may just be like an order of operations type of thing. The org itself does not have API enabled, but the profile does. Well, if the org doesn't have it, it's not going to work. Let's check out the website. So I'm going to do Salesforce edition comparison. And this is where it gets a little tricky because over the years,
Should I pop your screen up here?
yeah. The names of the editions and the clouds and all that kind of stuff kind of sometimes changes over time. Here we go. So starter is right here. But I actually want the screen that has like a chart. It kind of outlines what's included in each one. This is the one. And I usually skip this colorful chart, but I won't today. I'll slowly come down and see if we can find the word API. The other way you can often find Apex and API usually are kind of included together. So you have access to one, you have access to both. And so I often will look for that. And again, historically, both Professional Edition and basically anything less than Professional Edition does not include Apex, does not include API. There's an exception to that, and I'll get to that. Let me zoom in because this is very small. There we go. And API calls. Well, that's interesting. This does say 200 API calls per day in Platform Starter Enterprise. Can you send me the link to the question? I'll just pull it up for everyone at home.
Yeah, let me.
This is also Platform Starters, and this is where the marketing can be confusing. The other thing that I have experienced before is I say I want to buy one thing, I may end up signing a contract for something else. And even I have experienced that. So that could also be the case here. And so it's a good idea to make sure that you have what you purchased or what you think you purchased. So I'm going to look for Salesforce Starter Edition one more time. And hopefully get it right this time. There's the new Starter Suite. And that's, yeah, so that's the thing. Starter Edition is a little tricky because I don't know exactly what they're referring to. If they're referring to Starter Suite, which is the newer thing, and we can look at the comparison of this. Let's see if we see here. Is there a comparison at the bottom? No, there's not. Isn't using API allowed in Starter Edition? And so Starter Edition, I believe, is the same as what used to be Team Edition. Let's and Team again was less than platform professional. Let's see what this says. So this does say Starter, but again, this is a new one, so it really comes down to how new did this person sign up. Now, here's how you can find out your edition. You go to Setup, Company Information, Organization Information. We could actually do that in my org, and this is a Trailhead org, so it's not going to be the same. So this is a developer edition. So right there, this is where you would see what you have. So if it says Starter Edition here, the other thing you can do is you go to My Account screen, which I don't think I can do in this org because it's not a paid org. But normally you click on the gear and you have a My Account option right here. And you could do that too. Let's check one more time. Salesforce Edition comparison. Let's check for sale. Okay. Yeah, see, it's now called Starter Suite. And so I wonder if that is the same product that this person has subscribed to. But let's just see if the Starter Suite includes Apex or API. No. Okay. So this is somewhat consistent with what I've experienced in the past, that if you are below enterprise, right? So if you're paying for a product that costs less than enterprise, it contains fewer features than enterprise too. In the professional edition, you're able to purchase per user access to the API. And I believe you're required to do all users. So really, you're increasing your cost somewhat significantly just to get access to the API and to Apex. But in Starter, it's not even an option. It's possible that the profile makes it look like it is because of the weird kind of offerings that are available and the combinations of those offerings across the entire platform. There might be some weird product line that is technically considered Starter, but includes API, and so that might be why it shows up in the profile. But I'm willing to bet it's not enabled at the org level. And there actually is, like a whole screen full of checkboxes that if you work at Salesforce, some people can see for your org. It's called Black Tab because there's no color at the top. It's just black. It's not blue. It's not orange. And it's been there since I worked at Salesforce over 20 years ago. And my guess is for Starter and for Professional, that checkbox saying, hey, have access to API or have access to Apex is not on. And that's why even if the profile might have a checkbox, at the org level, it's off. I've never heard of Starter including Apex or API. The only exception is in Professional, you can purchase it at an added cost. To be honest, though, if you look at what's included in Enterprise, it usually makes more sense just to upgrade Enterprise than to add on API to Professional. Yes, there might be some savings, but you get so much more with Enterprise that I usually just recommend going to Enterprise, especially for a decent size org that has a decent number of licenses. You often can get a slight discount on Enterprise, and so then it's like, okay, we might as well just upgrade. So I highly recommend that. The only caveat is you can never downgrade. So if you do upgrade Enterprise, you can't go back down to Professional. So just make sure you know what you're doing and that you have all your ducks in a row and things like that before you sign that contract.
If
So that's
you're
for,
on professional and you spring for the API add-on, are you
uh-huh.
able to remove that eventually, assuming that you're not
Yeah.
actively using it for anything?
Yeah. So those add-ons you don't need to renew when it's time for renewal. You can't cancel at mid-contract, but when it comes time to renewal, you could say we don't use the API anymore. We don't want it anymore.
Okay.
And that would be an option. And or like I said, most likely you would upgrade to enterprise if you are using it.
Yeah.
So I believe the answer is no. Kind of like you had suggested. It is not possible to try it. I mean, you could talk to your account executive, but the problem is, even in Starter Edition, API is not even an option. You have to have professional to even try it, so to speak.
Yeah.
But what is available is sign up for a developer org or a Trailhead playground, and you can test it out there. You can't use it for business purposes per the terms of the contract, but if you're just trying to see, are we able to build an integration? Are we able to send data in or out of Salesforce? Yeah, you can totally test that out. And so you would, do all the work with the developer org. Once you've proven that it works, then you can talk to your account executive about subscribing to professional with API or the enterprise edition, whatever may work. The double asterisk exception, maybe it's even a triple asterisk at this point, is that publishers, developers, partners that put out apps on the AppExchange can include API or Apex in their apps, and then those apps can be installed in orgs that maybe don't have API or Apex access. However, I don't know if you'd be able to install that app in a starter edition. I know you could do it in a professional edition, but I believe there are also app limits on starter edition too. And so that might be a problem. But you can check out AppExchange, see if you're able to install an app that has API access or Apex access. And so if the nature of your need was, hey, where you want to use the API to connect to Shopify or QuickBooks or something like that, if you can find an app on the AppExchange that says it works with Starter Edition and it fulfills that need, then you might be able to get away with paying for that app instead of paying for an upgrade on your Salesforce licenses.
Okay.
So that's that final caveat.
Cool.
Yeah. Sorry, Tetra.
Yeah. When I look at the question again, I do see it says like I've started to use a trial version of Salesforce. So they probably just aren't aware that
I
a
didn't even see
developer
that part.
org
You're right.
exists, So they probably
Yeah.
just need to point, hey, here's where the developer org
Well,
is.
so
Hey.
that's even now. This is even more interesting because normally a trial is not of the starter edition. I didn't know there might be. I mean, normally when I do, a sign up for a new trial, and I actually do it fairly often for testing purposes and stuff like that. It usually actually is a trial of this weird thing that is a 30-day enterprise edition trial that will revert to professional if you don't specifically subscribe to enterprise. But maybe they have a new trial that is of the starter edition or the starter suite. I would need to look at the URL that Tetra signed up for. Tetra, if you're watching this, reach out and we'll hop on a call and try to figure it out. But I'm pretty sure Starter does not include API.
Yeah. And to add a further wrinkle to that conclusion, I did Google while you were searching, and I found this page that says Salesforce editions with API access,
Okay.
but does not list starter in either category, has or doesn't have. This is dated November 10th, 2022. So
Yeah.
it is one of those, like, when you find Salesforce documentation, it is always valuable to check the date because, like you said, the marketing language can change, product names can change.
Yes.
And knowing those is important.
So this could be a whole nother video, but I won't go too long into it. But there are two types of pages that you'll see on that when you're searching for Salesforce help. There's official documentation, which is done by the documentation team, which is a team that basically has writers and editors that make sure that the help has the right voice of Salesforce and it's extremely accurate. And they're working basically year round to make sure that the documentation is up to date. And then there are things like this, which is actually a knowledge-based article, which, knowledge is the same tool that we as customers of Salesforce have in our orgs, where we can activate knowledge and as part of Service Cloud. Knowledge is typically written by support reps, and it's written when they get a certain number of cases that keep asking the same question. They're like, can we please, put something out there that answers this question that we get all the time? Unfortunately, the support team is always answering questions, and they don't have too much time to go back and revise published articles. So this is actually a published article, is not official documentation. It's not like release notes or a help file. And so that's why this is probably outdated. Those support reps aren't even necessarily informed about changes that are coming up in the next release until that release is like public to everybody. So they don't necessarily have even as much time to update the documentation. So that's why this might be a little out of date. There might be a flag you can put somewhere on that page to say, hey, you need to update this. Yeah, see down at the bottom. Unfortunately, it doesn't let you really say too much, but you could say, no, it's not helpful, and here's why. It doesn't list all the additions. And then hopefully a support rep will get around to it at some point. They may also just take it away if there's a new article that's already been published that has the information.
Yeah. It's also given me the idea that we probably should have something on the blog that's like a Salesforce lexicon evolution that tracks the names of products over time, so that you know if you're looking for something with Experience Cloud,
No,
if
here's
you
what it's
find an
now
old
called.
article that says Salesforce Communities, that might still be relevant. If you're looking for Marketing Cloud account engagement, maybe add Pardot to that search and see what comes up, and all those sort of names that have changed over time.
Right. Yeah. Wave to Tableau. And these are often like really good trivia questions at the community events I go to. Sometimes they'll talk about that and they'll ask, what was the original name of this feature?
Tableau was called Wave?
Well, not Tableau. Sorry. Yes. I think it's Tableau Analytics.
Okay.
So not Tableau, the external Tableau, but the built-in CRM Analytics, which I think was Einstein Analytics. Maybe is that what it was? Was originally called Wave. Yeah.
Because Google had Wave,
yes.
didn't
Google
they?
had a different Wave, and they also got
Google
rid of that.
Plus, I think.
Yeah.
I remember those scrambles for invites early on. It's Google's finally entering social media. We got to all register. Nobody's here.
Yeah. So Wave Analytics was the feature where it was like basically storing your data externally, sort of externally, and then you're able to run queries. And that became, I think, CRM Analytics, which I think is now called Tableau or Einstein Analytics, or depending when you're watching the video, maybe call something else.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because I think when I first touched Tableau, it was Tableau Analytics, and then it became CRM Analytics, and now it's Analytics Studio. Yeah, there's so many different.
Yeah. So this would be a great feature to have somewhere on the web that says, the synonyms or kind of evolution of the naming of features. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for taking a swing at that question that turned out to be a little bit more in depth than I suspected. It was not a clear yes or no. It was
I think it is a clear yes or no. It's just that I wanted to make sure that I was 100% accurate and not somehow missing something, recently that occurred.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you once again for joining us and putting yourself in the hot seat. Thank you, folks, for watching another round of Q&A with Matt K. As I said at the top, one more time, if you do have questions of your own you'd like to submit, you can do that at go.mkp.dev/Q&A. If you like this or you're just here and you stuck around till the end of the video, I would love it if you liked and subscribed to the video. I won't give you the whole spiel again, but just do know that it makes me happy. And once again, thank you for watching. We will be back with more of these once a week, as well as our regularly scheduled content about Salesforce news, tips, tricks, how-tos. The summer 24 release is rapidly approaching. So there will be a lot of release highlights and coverage on that front as well. So thank you, Matt, for hopping on. Thank you, folks, for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.